All right. So the fun part, now we're going to see pitches from 10 different studios. They're going to give 7 minutes to pitch their game, and then we'll have 3 minutes for questions, feedback, whatever you want to throw out there to them. We're going to run through all of these in the short amount of time. My name's Jay Powell. I'm the CEO of the Powell Group. We do a variety of business consulting for everybody from developers to publishers to funds. We've been doing this for a very, very long time. But I also, 4 years ago, started the Indie Game Business Initiative, which I am very happy to hear from the previous panel that there is a need for education, because that's what we do with that, is we teach developers how to pitch, how to find publishers, how to market, all the stuff that no one else teaches them to do. So it was very enlightening and reassuring this morning to hear that there's actually still a need for all that. Now, enough of that. First up, the time I have left.
So, good morning. Before I even introduce myself, I would like to start with a question, which is, if I said to you, in 6 hours, you will be dead, and it is fated to be. Even so, is there anything you would like to do before the end? It's a relatable question that anyone can think about. What would you do in the moments before your coming death? It's quite a heavy question to start today, right? But that's the premise for our game, The Time I Have Left. A narrative, time-driven escape adventure with RPG elements. Now, good morning, everyone. My name is Juan, which is an extremely common name here in Spain, so I go by Gite, which is, you can call me that. And I am the creative lead and also the studio head at a very small independent developer from Barcelona called Ground Game Atelier. So, a woman with only 6 hours of life remaining searches for a way out of an underground city. We will follow her time-driven escape adventure, explore and uncover the secrets of a desolate complex, and face grotesque visions of death in a charm-based combat system with an active twist. We are building this game on 3 core pillars, which are exploration, narrative, and turn-based combat. Exploration takes place in third person, using a system of fixed and on-rails cameras that allow us to create expansive environments without the need for a big team, and also allow us to show better one of our more striking features, which is our unique visual style. At certain spots, the view can be shifted into a first-person point-and-click-like point of view in order to gather clues and items that can be that serve as unlocking conditions for different story fragments that, in turn, grant you experience points to get new skills for combat, which, by the way, is designed to complement both the narrative and the exploration part, and it's also a great entry point for people unfamiliar with RPGs, by including elements like reacting the enemy's attacks in real time in order to build up resources and then use those in your own turn. So we are aiming at a mostly mature market, an indie game lover and video game enthusiast, with an open mind to try genre blends and different takes on existing genres. And we are clearly inspired by classic games, but we are not here to create one. We are here to create a unique, modern mix that can still evoke nostalgia on the right players. We are aiming for a premium model with post-launch support, and we plan for this to be the first of a series of games that will explore further both the elements of the story and the mechanics of the title. We are developing on Unreal Engine 4, focusing on the PC first, and then bringing the game to all other platforms. For that, we are already approved developers for Nintendo Switch, and also part of the ID at Xbox program. So we have identified third-person narrative adventure games as our main competitors. The sample is vast, with a lot of offer and great-looking titles. But more specifically, we are targeting unique-looking mid-range indie games that add combat or a twist to their mechanics. And also, even though we are not a horror game, because we are not, some of our mechanics are very similar to them, so part of our audience will also overlap. So games like State of Mind, The Medium, or even something as mainstream as Life is Strange could fit this description. And by looking at this group, we found that even though there are lots of titles and lots of quality, they are starting to get a little bit more stale in terms of gameplay and in terms of presentation. So by taking the adventure game genre and giving it this time-driven story and gameplay, and combining in elements of RPGs and tying all together with the story with this unique presentation, we aim to bring a unique take on a familiar genre. So very briefly, we got an Epic Mega Grant earlier this year. We are sitting currently at 11,500 wishlist on Steam, and we took part in the Game VC and Incubation Program in Barcelona last year. So for a long time, we were just these two guys here developing the game, but we had the support and the collaboration of many freelance professionals that have helped us bring the project to this stage, and will keep doing so in the future. And we are currently hiring new staff to bring the core team from 2 to 7. So we have 2 development proposals as of now. Both are mainly the same. The only difference is the amount of content to be produced. We are going with development proposal A, which is feature complete and content complete. But we have this B proposal, which requires more time and more budget, but will enhance the overall experience. And we are open to include in the main package, or maybe sell it at a later stage. So we are developing the game. We plan to develop the game for a full alpha of the game during the first 12 months and dedicate the rest of the 18 months of development to polish it up until the time of release. And depending on development proposal A or B, we will launch by mid or late 2024, depending on the plan. So we have pre-production completed, fully featured playable build that you can play right now, detailed documentation and full development roadmap, sorry. And we have estimated the total budget of the title for these 2 sums, depending on the proposal that we go with. We are completely self-funded at the moment, so we are going with A, but we are open to discuss contributions to development B. And everything is going to development, and a part of that is going into marketing. So we are searching for support on these 5 fields, especially in the first 2. So if you like what I have just shown you, you can help us bring the project to fruition. If you have any questions, I have, I think, 3 minutes for this, but feel free to reach me off stage anytime, and I will expand a little bit more on that. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Questions?
Hi, Greg, Arroyo Capital. So my question is, you pointed out that your closest niche when it comes to a reference title sells on average around 40K units of their games. So what are your sales expectations for your title, and what's your break-even point if you like count in the platform, commission, publisher, if there you plan any, and so on?
Yeah, so we have estimated for about 70,000 copies, a little bit more than what we have on this chart of comparison, because we believe that the game has that core niche, but can transcend that because of its other strengths. So yeah, that's mostly it. Sorry. So we have planned for this by estimating that. And also, I don't remember the second part of your question, sorry. It was the second part.
So what's like the break-even number of sales? So,
yeah.
When you...
Yeah, so 45K is the break-even sum, and we are aiming for more than 70,000.
Anyone else? All right, awesome job. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Give us just 1 minute to get the next team queued up, and then we'll go on there. Oh, yes, thank you. And while we're doing that, we have a change in the itinerary. So Sayona Studios will not be presenting, but they're going to be substituting in Daydreamy Studios in that spot. Ready? All right. Operation High Jump.
Okay. Hello there, my name is Victor Fernandez, CEO and game designer and producer of Mansion Games. At Mansion, we develop universe and action and adventure games with a transmedia, merging video games, cinema, and narrative of literature. With this influence, we're able to produce new and immersive video games. We are merged the best of digital art with the infinity of possibilities of actual technology. Our business model, the heart of Mansion, is transmedia. It's based from a video game base. We extend our universe to the other media, like publishing, merchandising, books, audiovisual, physical editions, and whatever. In Mansion, we have a joke that maybe you will see us someday in Netflix, someday. The team of Mansion is a multidisciplinary team that combines the experience of members that a lot of years in the industry with young professionals like with a lot of energy, and have powerful allies like or collaborations like Chris Hulbeck, the musician behind the games of Turrican, great Gianna Sisters, Monkey Island, and another. Alfonso Azpiri cover illustrators of the 80s and beginning of the 90s video game industry in Spain. Or Valentia Concha, our manager of campaigns with 6 million raised in different campaigns. This is the timeline, our roadmap. At this time, all energies focus in the ending of development of Operation Hayam, The Fall of Berlin, the first product of Mansion Games, and launch in the next year between Q1 or Q2. We are happy, sorry. We are happy to be here representing our work, Operation Hayam, The Fall of Berlin. We all remember the famous battles in the World War II, like Normandy, Stalingrad, the Battle of Berlin. But we often forget the ordinary people like us who fought for freedom through the European resistance to shorten the war and save many lives. It's a tribute to these persons. I would like show you the first hallmarks of Operation Hayam, a powerful story with the cinematics, motion graphic style, 2D shooter with a fusion of genres like arcade, like video adventure, and a little touch of strategy with the missions. Extreme care for the artwork with 2D, 3D illustration, pixel art. OH is based in real stories, real weapons, real scenarios of World War II. And have an epic soundtrack by Chris Hulbeck. We can talk Operation High many times when Metal Slug team up with Lost Vikings, Commandos, and Indiana Jones' Fate of Atlantis. It's a mixture. A mix between arcade, action, puzzles, and World War II missions. The main character is Joseph Kowalski, a Polish resistance member, with a team with another members of another resistance countries, like a British pilot of bombardier, like a British SAS colonel for strategies, a radio communications operator. We resolve puzzles on calling to reinforce, and a one sniper of Ukrainian front, Irina Pavlichenko. All characters of the game are based in real characters of World War II. The game have 8 missions in Berlin, from AV and until to the Wolf's Lair Hitler base. Have a lot of 10 bosses. Have a system with medals and collection of objects like Indiana Jones. The player have enjoy the story of these objects in a museum at Sen. Have a mini games like Chore moment.
All right, you got 1 minute.
1 minute. Okay. The validation of our hypothesis has been fulfilled this past with the launch of Kickstarter campaign, and we will achieve the 5 milestones. Campaign achieved in less than 10 hours with 11 standard goals, 65,650 raised, 1,195 customers, not a single day without contributions, an average ticket of 55 euros. Since we started, many entities has been set on us, like Meridian Games, the publisher, PlayStation Talents, Game BCN, Lanzadera, and Berry App. At this moment, we are currently preparing our first round of investment for the second product of the studio, about Templars and Elves, another curious mixture.
All right, we gotta go.
Okay.
Good.
Thank you for your
Okay.
your attention.
Questions?
Yep.
Hi. So I was wondering now, with watching Operation High Jump, are you still looking for support for that one, or you're only looking for support for the project that you mentioned on the slide, but you didn't really talk about? Both. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
what are you looking for in
At
particular?
this moment, Mansion have a publisher for Operation Hayam, is Meridian Games, for digital and physical editions. But our plan is ground the team for the next project, and we are looking for investor for Mansion, Operation Hayam, and the next project.
So how much money do you need for Operation High Jump?
Yeah.
How much investment do you need for that game?
Operation Hayam have created with. Thank you. Operation Hayam created with war economy. 100K is the in between Crea SGR, NISA, and another financial operators, and is more or less the question about it.
Anyone else? Yep.
Just to quickly clarify, so you have a publisher already for this title, right? For Operation.
For Operation High-End, we have a publisher.
Yeah.
For the next project, the Tale of the Templar and the Elf, we have not.
Okay, cool. And just a little bit of feedback coming from a scout, someone who actually goes through pitches every single day. Always start with the actual game, not with the team. I'm super happy that you have some big names attached to the project that gives it legitimacy and it makes it very interesting. But show me the game first. I don't want to see the team at the first slide. Okay, just a little bit of feedback.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much for understanding.
All right. Everybody's available for questions and meetings afterwards, but we got to go on to our third one. Thank you. All right, next up, Amimi?
Yeah.
All right.
Hello, thank you all for being here and the organization for having us. Game development is hard, right? I am Daniel Fernandez and I have dedicated my life to creating games. In 2009, we found our own studio and we have published around 15 games. We have worked on many platforms and different types of projects, mobile, free-to-play, console, sports, even blockchain, and play-to-earn. But after all these years, I didn't fulfill my initial goal. Today, I'm here to introduce our new and most personal project, Amimi. So, we like to describe the idea as a mix of Greece and The Last Guardian in a natural and fantastic setting. Our goal is to create something very unique at all levels, art, gameplay, music. Actually, Amimi came out as a vision from our great art director, Marina, here, who has crafted a very personal style and characters. Amimi is both the title of the game and the name of this little creature right here. This creature is lost in the forest and is found by Nuez, a kid who lives in the forest. And as Nuez, the player wants to discover more about Amimi, but soon you discover that the creature is very, very unique, very special, and their journey begins. So the game is about this relationship between a kid and a creature. It's a platform adventure game, a relaxed and charming experience. So why Amimi? First of all, we think Amimi is unique in the way it integrates visual storytelling and gameplay. As the player takes care of the creator, Amimi does the same for the player. This friendship leads to touching, impactful moments, new mechanics, and creative puzzles, like platforming, musical minigames, exploring dark environments, taking advantage of Amimi's ability to change its shape, or jumping over structures created by Amimi. Amimi is also unique in the way it creates a fantastic universe players want to explore. The game is packed with fantastic natural sceneries and is populated with charming secondary characters and strange creatures, like this one. We want the forest to feel alive and become an important part of the game. And finally, Amimi is also unique because of its music. We want the music to become an important part of the experience. We have a deal with an indie rock Spanish group called LA, and they are composing an original soundtrack for the game, including ambiental music and themes with vocals and lyrics. So we want to create safe spaces where the player can enjoy the landscape while listening to this soundtrack. And of course, all this wouldn't be possible without a market opportunity. Indie games have risen popularity year by year among all types of gamers, especially mid-core, but also hardcore gamers. And we are following a premium model aimed also for collectors, where the primary factor for the buying decision is quality. This is something that is in our hands, and we believe we can achieve with this product. High quality standard is our main focus. But success also depends a lot on the publisher and platform holder that are sponsoring the game, as we can see in these examples. And that's the reason why we are here today. All this great adventure has just begun. We are now in pre-production and working on a prototype. We have already planned the stage for a development of about 14 months, with a core team of 8 people and a budget of 350,000 euros. We think that we need to make this dream project to happen. But let's watch a short video so you can see more clearly the tone and that we are looking for, as well as listening to a small piece of LA band. So please, noise. We hope you like it. If you are interested, we are happy to share more details in a private meeting. Thank you all for being here, and thank you for your time.
Excellent. So, questions?
Indie gamers, for sure. Yeah. The same audience have the examples that you have seen, where is our main reference at this point.
So even though it sort of has like a childish look?
Yeah, well, it's childish, but the gameplay is not for childs and is for everyone. We want to be creative, and the art of the game is kind of child, but we are not aiming to children.
So, thanks for the presentation. I was wondering, you mentioned on one of the slides that you're looking to sell the game for around 35 for the base version and the digital or the collector's edition for like 55, I think. What makes the game feel that way to you? Like, how did you come to this price point?
Yeah, well, looking at the competition, for sure.
So, what are you, like, is it length of the game, the polish, like, what do you think it feels like?
Sorry, as I said in the presentation, we want to create something very unique, a gem. So it's not so common to find these kind of games. We have been searching and doing a market research, and there are many examples, but not too much for the demand that we think that there is for this kind of high quality games, very unique, very special. And I think the target audience that we are aiming, the price is not so important. I think if the game is high quality and is very unique, we can put that price. We are confident of that. And we have seen that in other similar games, like Greece, it was released at this price. And it's a very short game, but is very special and very unique.
Thank you. I want to know more about your track record as a studio.
Yeah.
Which other games have you been published in this genre specifically, and if you have other
Yeah.
games from other genres also? How well they sold, and also why you put Greece as a big reference, because Greece is visually is very impactful, but here I see more reminiscent to Amanita design
Yeah.
work, and more like a point and click adventure narrative style. So I'm curious to know.
Yeah, well, Greece is also a Spanish project, so it's very comparable to us. And also the tone of the game and the message that it communicates, I think we want to go in that road. Amanita design, of course, visual is more similar, and we like a lot. It's a big reference, but it's kind of different. It's not the same, we think. But the other question was... sorry?
In your track record, like
Track record, yeah.
the other projects.
We have been doing many different things, like I told you. Now we are doing blockchain games also in parallel. But we have released similar to this in this genre or in platform genre, a game for mobile and console that was called Strand in March and was top 10 in iPad in USA. Was published by a German publisher and was successful, but not super successful. Then another game that was very viral was Feast of Jesus, that was based on a movie, on a Spanish movie, short movie, sorry. And it's viral idea with Jesus fighting zombies, and it was in all, PewDiePie did a video on that. So
Yeah, I remember that.
millions of views, and it sold quite well in Steam. But it still was not our own product because it was kind of co-production. So this is more personal, creative.
Very different than
Yeah,
Feast of Jesus.
Very different, yeah.
Thank you.
You want it?
Hi. So we briefly talked about what you think the title has in common with Greece, but I would be curious to hear what you think your title has very different from Greece. What does it make it stand out? So, for example, when you have an indie gamer, right, during a Steam sale, and they have, let's say, 20 euros, and they want to buy either Greece or your title, how would you convince them to buy your title instead of Greece?
Yeah, well, I think we can have both titles. Yeah, I think each game is different, and as I said, there is not so many games like this. Greece is great and has its own personality, and we are looking for a different personality. We are very focused on music, as I told you. We are working on a prototype now, which is almost a musical game, because we have a very one important point of the team is the musician, and he's supporting a lot of ideas, and we want to integrate visual, music, and gameplay. Also, in terms of comparison with Greece, Greece is kind of a walking simulator, very simple mechanics, and no, we don't want that gameplay. We want to surprise players with puzzles, with different mechanics that come out in a level. So more creative in the gameplay and more focus on players.
Are you considering including like musical mechanics?
Yeah, we are working on that.
All right. That's all our time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And yes, available for the next 2 days for meetings. All right, and then next up, we ready? We ready? Rivals.
Hi, my name is Joaquin Ruiz Perez. I am the CEO of Studio Future, a 15-people team based here in Madrid. And today I want to talk to you about our new and most ambitious game called Rivals. Long story short, Rivals is the perfect blend between Rocket League, and Overwatch. I told you it's an ambitious game, isn't it? And especially because we know that creating this type of games, when you drive and shoot at the same time, is complicated. It isn't easy to create a game when you drive high speed while aiming and shooting simultaneously. Well, we have finished the vertical slice of the game 1 month ago. We presented it at Gamescom, and honestly, I think that we got it. We create a game when you can do both things very rewardingly. So let me show you a game, an actual footage of the game. As you have seen in the video, police driving physics and combat mechanics are at the core of our game. This is something we learned from the success of Rocket League, and that's why we have spent more than a year only working on getting a very rewarding driving feel. From Overwatch, we have taken the unique classes. Now we have unique vehicles that feel different, and they have a unique loadout of weapons and abilities. I can assure you that you've never driven vehicles like this. Deep gameplay. Our game is easy to play and hard to master, and we love it. And that is why one special ability all our cars include, and it's the hover mode. Every car can turn into a hover, and it will allow you, when you set the combination with different abilities, to perform crazy maneuver and stunts and loops while you try to hide, to escape, aim, and shoot your enemies. And everything a very captivating eSport atmosphere with a lot of possibilities for monetization, customization, and user engagement. So this is a multiplayer online vehicular combat arena. Our target are mid-core and hardcore gamers, racing, shooting, and eSport enthusiasts. The game is for playing for 4 to 10 players, always PvP team-based, from 2 versus 2 up to 5 versus 5. We will have, the game will be launched in PC and consoles. It's made in Unity. And our business model, premium plus in-app purchases, with that proposed retail price of around 35. Rivals is not a racing game where you eventually shoot, nor is it a shooter where you move a car instead of a hero. We are creating a game where shooting and driving are equally important, and this is the key of our game. It's like a modern and deeper and eSport version of our beloved Twisted Metal game. Between casual and hardcore, Rival is something in the middle, and between solo and competitive and eSport, we are definitely in the eSport side. The launch version will have 12 unique vehicles and one new vehicle every 3 months. And they will have also the iconic pilots. We know that people engage more with a character than with a vehicle. We'll have eight arenas, different game modes, a campaign mode that you can play solo or also co-op. And we'll have all the features that will create a high engagement of the user, like mission and contracts, ranked leagues, eSport features, and for sure, a very deep and customization store. So far, we have invested around $500,000 in the vertical slice, and we are looking for 1.7 million to complete the project in the PC version. And our roadmap plans a 15 months development from the vertical slice. So the launch will be sometime around April 2024 at most. So that's it. So if you have any question?
I have one.
Yes.
While we get the mic this way, you mentioned Overwatch and you mentioned
Rocket League.
You didn't mention Twisted Metal.
Yes, I did.
Oh, is it on there? I couldn't see the. I have a glare. I couldn't see it over there. I saw like a
I
thing
said
in my
it's
head.
like
but
a modern and deeper and eSport version of Twisted Metal.
I just wanted to make sure it wasn't forgotten. I love that. All right.
So we have taken the best of Rocket League and Overwatch to create like a modern version of Twisted Metal.
Perfect. All right. Question here.
Is there a mic? Okay. Hi. So my question would be regarding multiplayer specifically. I know you mentioned there's a solo mode and a campaign sort of kind of deal. So for multiplayer, does your vertical slice already have online multiplayer implemented?
Sure. Yes.
Yeah.
You can play today. I encourage you to look for us and play the game because that's what I told you about the feeling of the game. It's something that you have to try.
And do you know how do connections work? Is it peer-to-peer or do you?
Now it's peer-to-peer, and it will be.
And do you guys have a plan for servers? Or
Sure. For the Ranked League, it will be everything under servers.
Cool. Yeah, thank you. That's what I wanted to do.
Anyone else?
So talking about Twisted Metal, and I go back to like Interstate 76, I feel like this was a genre that was relatively sizable in like the 90s, and I feel like it hasn't really made a big resurgence, because Rocket League is like completely different title, of course, and Overwatch, obviously. I do feel like there have been some attempts in the last couple of years, like most recently I can remember a game called KEO. I'm just wondering how big you feel the audience can be for a game like this currently.
I think it's pretty much wide because it's a game that shooters will love, but also the lovers of racing games, because it has the right combination and it's at wide range if you adapt the shooters and the racing games, so and vehicles games. So I think that the audience is pretty wide for this type of games. Sorry.
I don't know if I agree if the audience overlap is like, because I feel like when you play racing games, you play to drive and to win. And again, like I feel Rocket League is very much an outlier in the sense that it's been a very good combination of course they failed initially with what's called Scarp, I think it was. And then they created Rocket League, which became this huge hit, and is still this huge hit. I play it a ton. But outside of that, I'm really curious how big that audience really. I'm curious to see like more of like a market comparison, market analysis of how you see your close competitors that are more in similar area than.
Yes, a lot of people told us that at the beginning it seems like a version of Rocket League. In fact, we have some vehicles that perform similar, but when you play, the gameplay is totally different. Okay, you will love the driving, and you will find it the rain of the Rocket League. But also you have to do a lot of different things. The deeper gameplay is hard to master. Something also in the style of Rocket League, okay? So you need to learn to perform that maneuvers that you do. Everything is here in this game also.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
All right, guys, I'm going to let you introduce the name of the game because I'm afraid I'm going to slaughter it.
Okay. Okay, let me leave that here. Okay, one moment. Okay, let me show you a picture which is extracted from a chemical book from 16th century, which is called Splendor Solis. And I got a question for you. Does anybody here knows what that symbol means? Because I'm pretty sure nobody knows what that can mean. And the meaning is the success on the creation of the Philosopher's Stone inside the flask. One more. Oops. Now. Again, what that symbol means. It's again a hard question, I know, because, well, this is a green lion eating the sun, and that means sulfuric acid eating gold. So this is a solution of gold inside a sulfuric acid. The complexity to interpret the symbols inside alchemy, the real alchemy, not the mixing of rose petals with blossom or whatever oil, is behind the idea to create Fases Hermetica, a game about alchemy in Toledo. I'm JC Montero. I'm a founder and head of a studio in Red Mountain, and I'm here to talk about our second title, which is this game. Facies Hermetica is an alchemy game with a strong hack and slash and adventure mechanics. And it's like a bit of a plague tale, adding a good amount of Hades and seasoning it with a few grains of potion craft, represented in a 3D with psychedelic details. You will see, it's a crazy thing. You have to discover how to interpret the mysteries of alchemy and which are drawn in the old books of alchemy from centuries ago, and take advantage of your grades to boost your builds and fight in an incredible world populated with strange beings. What means you are going to learn from real alchemy books, enter in the alchemical world, fight with a lot of strange beings which are populating that world, and then coming back to the laboratory to get ready to prepare the Philosopher's Stone. The world will be Toledo in the 16th century, and our core loops are combats, adventure, and crafting in the alchemy lab. This is in a very, we are starting the game, we have started a couple of months ago, so this is in a very early stage. But anyway, you are seeing now how does work the alchemical view of the world, which is a kind of reflected distortion of the real world. This is our main character. Also, you are seeing here how she is entering into a chemical world. We are working also in the locomotion system for the main character. Again, I'm not sure if you are seeing that correctly, but we are working in a couple of different mechanics to combat, which are called solve and coagula. By solving, you are converting yourself into a pile of, for instance, acids or steam. And you are using that kind of mechanics to defend yourself from the attacks of the beings which are populating the chemical world. Also, you are able to combat them by converting again in steam or fire to hit them by using a quick dash. Let me show you how she's converting herself into fire to combat them. Coming back to the laboratory, you are going to be able to use a bunch of different mechanics like, well, this is a very early prototype, but you are going to be able to glass blowing or even product grinding and mixing all the resources you have been collecting in the chemical world and hitting them into the Athanor. This is our main character, Aurea, which is learning a lot of alchemy from the mentor, which is Blasco. And we have also a big antagonist, which is Carranza, who is part of the Inquisition. This is our vision of the real world, in which you are interacting with other characters, but this is the vision you will have when you are entering into the alchemical world as a reflection of the real world, as a distorted reflection of the real world. Those are a couple of characters what we are working on. And let's talk about our production plans. We have been working into the game design for mostly a year. And we have started the vertical slice a couple of months ago. Our plans is to finish that vertical slice in March 2023 and start with the production of the game that will be finished on Q4 2024. The idea is to release the game in all platforms, PC and consoles, on Q2 2025, and we need to finish the game an amount of 1,100,000 euros. The business model will be a premium model. The game is done in Unreal Engine, and our proposed retail price is mostly 35 to 40 euros. The playtime for the game is 1.5 hours per run with multiple runs because the game, the setting is completely reset every time you are entering the chemical world. And let me talk a little about our background. We have finished our first game, which is the Chrono Boo. We won a couple of prizes the past year and this year. The game will be released on March 2023. In physical and digital distribution, we are working with Meridian Games, and this is our team at that moment. The core team is the upper row. We have been working together for the past 3 years. A part of the team has been working with me also near to 6 years ago, and we have incorporated little new profiles. And that's all. If you want to talk with me about the game, you can reach me easily on LinkedIn, Twitter, or by mail. That's all.
You have 11 seconds left. There we go. All right, questions? Over here.
Yeah, thank you very much for the presentation. It was very interesting. I just had a question about what I presume are going to be the roguelike elements in the game. You said it was about 1.5 hours per run, and that the runs would be randomized. Do you go into a bit more detail maybe about that, and also about kind of the variations we can expect in kind of builds and gameplay mechanics through those elements?
All the elements inside the world will be reset, mainly thinking about how the distribution of beings or bosses will be in your needed run to complete the needs for the recipe you are working in that moment. So that means you are going to find different recipes to go through the process to create the Philosopher's Stone. And when you find a new recipe and you need to find, well, I don't know, maybe, how to say, flesh from the red prince, then you know you need to cross all the scenario to find that red prince, and all the elements inside that world will be resetted. So the next time when you are entering in that world, everything is new. It's not exactly like a roguelike because the scenario will be the same, but all the distribution or maybe some street will be closed. You will need to enter in a kind of new world. Okay, I'm not sure I'm answering you.
No, that's brilliant. Okay. Thank you very much.
Anyone else?
So you mentioned that you work with the guys from your team in the past. So can you tell us a bit more about the project that you work on together?
Sure. I've been working for 15 years in the industry, making simulators, VR. Part of the team have been working with me in my former company that was a beer company. We was working from 2016 in TRT Labs. It was a company based in Berlin. We was winning a big prize here, and we was working into beer and simulators. But from 2020, when I created my new company, they came with me to the new company, and I also grew the other part of the team.
All righty. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay.
And next up, we've got Arcanima, Mist of Oblivion.
Thank you. Hello, nice to meet you all. I'm Victor Sierra from Stendhal Games, and today I'm going to talk to you about Arcanima Mist of Oblivion, a hack and slash RPG set in a world shaped by people's power of will.
Finally, the untamed citadel of Indomita. I already know how these kind of places end up, but I can stop it this time.
Well, look at what the boatman has brought us. Looks like the syzygy has done its homework.
I'd like to point out that the game has a completely original soundtrack, and now I'm going to answer some questions you might have about it. So, what is this game? Arcanima Mist of Oblivion is a hack and slash, is a action RPG that mixes hack and slash combat with JRPG strategy elements, and it's built around Anima, an organic character development system based on psychological typologies. On it, you will play as Juno, an Anima user searching for answers in a world ringed by the deadly mist of oblivion. And the objective of the game is to shape and develop your Anima through your actions and decisions, to find the way to clear the mist, and discover your own truth before all meaning is lost. Also, I want to throw some key data around. We're aiming to release on PC and consoles. The game is being developed on Unity. We're aiming to have an average playtime of 15 hours, fueled by the big replayability value given by a branching story and an organic character development system which will allow for many different ways to play the game. We're aiming to have a price tag of €35 on a premium model and have a target audience mainly composed of JRPG and hack and slash enthusiasts. We're aiming to release the game on Q4 2026 and currently are in the beta phase of the vertical slice development. What are the main features of the game? We have two pillars, combat and exploration. First, combat. As I mentioned before, we have a hack and slash combat mixed with JRPG strategy elements. This means that on real-time combat, you will be able to do combos to your enemies, launch them into the air, smash them into the ground, block attacks, dash, evade, and you know the added value to this is that with each action you take, you generate willpower, and then players will be able to enter into the focus mode, a slow time mode, which opens a kind of like JRPG menu in which you will be able to unleash mighty abilities using the willpower you've generated on the real-time combat. All of this is united by the Anima system, which is another dimension of the game. And you know, the thing is in Arcanima, every character has an Anima. And different Animas have different natures that can be weak or strong against each other. So this defines a unique depth for gameplay that has never been seen before in this kind of genre. And about exploration, the player will be able to visit different world locations with beautifully crafted scenarios full of items and secrets waiting to be discovered. On each location will have a contained narrative arc, which will fit into an overarching narrative that will define the progression of the game. And the thing is that at the end of each narrative arc, the player will face battles of wills, which are unique, intense boss fights that the player can actually lose, that will define the outcomes of the story. And all these elements will work together to create a narrative-driven experience with a deviant story that deconstructs the relationship between player and character and uses advanced meta-narrative elements to reinvent the way players immerse into the game. Does this game fit the market? So we've been taking highly successful games as references. We normally like to say that Arcanima has the combat of Nier Automata, meeting the JRPG fusion mechanics of Final Fantasy VII Remake, meeting the psychology-based systems of the Persona saga and the core features scalable to other products that the Shin Megami Tensei franchise has. We've, of course, been following other indie titles in our space that are similar to ours, and a market study has revealed that good, well-scoped and well-marketed games of this genre normally can go up to selling 100,000 units on the first year. And that's the reason why we're maintaining a contained scope of 15 hours of gameplay with good repetitive value and 35 euros as a price, and a sales projection of 150,000 units on the first year. And the silver lining here is that we also have great potential for becoming a multimedia franchise, because we'll be building it after the Shin Megami Tensei model, which is a 50-plus game multimedia franchise with a lot of games that share the same core features and have sprung anime, manga, movies, all kinds of multimedia products. How do we make the game? Here's a very simplified version of our roadmap. We've been already working on this game on this IP for almost 3 years and are close to finishing our vertical slice. After that, we'll start the full production development on Q3 2023, and we're aiming to release the game on Q4 2026. And we're currently looking for budget for funding this period of the development, which will go up to $2 million based on a development burn rate of $40,000 per month, multiplied by 36 months, a proposed marketing budget of $300,000 for marketing, plus porting, Q&A, sizing the team up to 15 members, and of course, localization and the experience and advice of a good publisher and investors. And also some good data you might want to know. With these numbers, the break-even threshold is on 80,000 units sold, but we're aiming to sell 150,000 with, 150,000 of the first year, which will give us a target revenue on first year of $3.5 million. And about the team who is going to make this game, we're currently 8 people in Standard Games from different backgrounds and different profiles. Everyone has at least 3 years of experience making games, but we're mainly a team composed of young talent. That's the reason why we're looking forward to expand the team to 15 people and include some more veteran roles into the team that will allow us to drive the game in the right direction and deliver it in the best shape that it can be. And that was all. Thank you for listening. Here's our contact information, and if you have any questions, please go ahead.
Questions? Anyone? All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
All right, and next up, we have daydreaming. Is that right?
Sorry? I think this is another guy.
Okay, never mind.
But I'm going to.
Don't worry.
I'm going to do.
We're going to do pentakill instead.
Yep. Hi everyone. I'm David from Pentakill Studios. I'm here to talk about The Occultist. The Occultist is a first-person narrative, strong narrative horror game in which you play in a role of Alan Revels. Alan, for us, is a guy who has special capabilities and is allowed to see, to talk, and to interact with deaf people. But what really happens in the game is that Alan's father has suddenly disappeared without any trace, and he thinks that he could be on a fictional island in the north of Great Britain called Godstone. And the game starts with Alan going to the island. And what Alan doesn't know, and also the player doesn't know, is that this island was inhabited until 1950s by a cult. They were very obsessed with reviving a person, and they start to perform a lot of rituals, investigation, etc. And the last try went wrong, and as a consequence, all the island was cursed. One of the unique selling points of the game is a pendulum. It's a first-person game in which you play with a pendulum in your hand, and I'm going to talk about the pendulum in the few next steps. We are developing the game for PC and next-gen consoles. We are working with Unreal Engine 5, and we've been working on a cinematic trailer that you can see some of screenshots in the images in the background of the presentation. The pendulum, the mechanics of the game, we don't have direct fight. We have 5 different mechanics in the pendulum, but only for interacting with the environment and to resolve puzzles and to carry on with the story. And we have focused on these mechanics and on stealth mechanics. As I mentioned, the game happens on an island called Godstone. It's divided on, it follows a linear narrative, and it has four different areas, 4 zones. And at the end of the game, the player will have backtracking in order to reveal and to resolve everything of the game. Our NPCs, we have different kinds of NPCs, what we call ghosts, which are good people, spectres, bad people, and you have to avoid them, elusives and other kind of enemies, and 4 main bosses that you have to not fight, but you have to interact with them to resolve the whole game. The pillars of the game are horror, investigation, action, and puzzles. Our beginning, we started in the studio started in 2021, but we have experience since 2014. We really started as a school. We also are working in a school in Valladolid, and we have touched students with the same agile technologies that we apply in the studio. We are now 11 people at full time, and 2 special guys in the team, collaborators. The first one is Pepe Herrero. He's a very well-known music and orchestra composer here in Spain, the music composer of Mónica Naranjo, Camilo Sesto, and a few more artists. And Doug Cockle, who is the voice actor of Geralt of Rivia on The Witcher 3. He's also the voice of Alan Revels. We are in Valladolid. We are also sharing the same facilities than the school. We have a 325 square meters office. Inside, we have a professional sound recording studio, and also we have a big room for mocap recording animations. Latest awards that we have won this year and the previous year. Similar games, maybe Visage, Amnesia, Village, Resident Evil Village, Blair Witch. Our estimated sales, maybe it's not the best way here in the presentation to show this, but we have put 3 different scenarios, and 3 of them can fund the whole cost of the development. But the roadmap, in 11 months, we will have the game ready to be launched if we raised the money we are looking for. I'm going to talk about the money in a few shots. What we have invested, we have invested €500,000 from own funds, from the benefits of the school and other projects that we've been working in the past for third parties. And the budget, we are looking for staff, also localization, equipment, and furniture. If we summarize everything, $1.5 million in order to finish the game. And this is images from The Occultist. Can we increase the music, please? Thank you. 7 minutes, promised.
You went 8 seconds over, but it's okay. All right, questions?
Thanks so much for the presentation. I was wondering, since you're talking about like combat is mostly hiding, getting away from a situation, and you're talking about boss battles, like how are you kind of approaching those in the game? Are they still arena-based, like combat games would usually have them, or are they more like spread around the entire level, or how should I?
Yeah, how do we manage the combat with enemies?
The boss battles in particular.
In boss, yeah, we have 4 different bosses. We have concepts. Then, if you want, we can talk deeply about them. Each one of the first is a woman in the wheelchair. So we want, as Alan, the character, is not a martyr, is not a fighter. He has to use the environment and not to kill, because the story is very huge, and he doesn't want to kill the bosses because they have no fault about it. We have a huge script behind, but what Alan has to do is to avoid them with, I think, very well scripted, I'm not going to say combat, but situations in front of the bosses, but not guns, not uses the pendulum to decrease any kind of life. You have to avoid and to devilize them, but not to kill, because at the end of the game you'll have the opportunity to. I can't resolve the script, but at the end of the game, you can choose if you want to liberate or not to liberate them, because at the end, they are good people.
So they don't have health bars, right?
No.
That's good.
Also, the player doesn't have a life bar. Yeah.
Can you speak a bit about your target audience and what do you want them to fall in love with? Is it the mechanics? Is it the narrative? Is it the characters? What do you want to build that audience around?
Yeah. What we have clear is that we don't just to have the occultist one, I mean. We have ideas for creating a saga. So in long term, I want the occultist to be a strong IP. Also, that's the reason we are looking for a strategic partner to help us to achieve it. In terms of people target audience, because it's very strange, because our game is not horror explicit horror game like Outlast, for example, and we don't have enough action like Resident Evil, for example. We are in between of these games. We also don't know a specific similar game to what we are doing, but the target audience could be a mix of both. But what we have clear, as I mentioned, is we want to grow the IP. We want to make the occultist 2 with new mechanics, with new stories. And as I mentioned, the unique selling points for us are the strong narrative. We have also received interest for creating a film about the story of the occultist 1 and the pendulum, the 5 mechanics of the pendulum.
All right, that's all the time we got.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Thank you much. Leave it right there, that'd be fun. All right.
Okay, thank you.
And so now we have daydreaming. Is that we still not? No? Class. All right, your house.
No somos house, ¿no? No.
Okay, I have a list.
Anaphora games. Well, it doesn't matter. We are the next one.
Yes.
It's completely fine. I hope the presentation will be the right one, right?
I have no idea.
It's the right one. Okay, I would like to start this presentation a little bit differently. I would like to ask you, when was the last time that you put your hand out of the window and you were just feeling the air and you were imagining that mountains were the cave of some dragon or something like that while someone was driving your car? Or when was the last time that you just, well, I don't know, feeling just a moment, you were living the moment, you just had your imagination and you found yourself lost in the imagination? I think, and I could tell that maybe it was a long time ago, and maybe now you're feeling a little bit of nostalgic of just being not that responsible of a lot of things that we have now. So I would like to present you Daydreamy, and my name is Julia. Yeah, the product, basically, what we are trying to present here, Daydreamy is a narrative game that alternates between adulthood and childhood of Nela, who is the main character of this game. And this game is also a 3D stylist game composed of several mini games. Here are some of the main concepts I would like you to understand from this game. We've placed it in the casual indie, focused on PC, so we want to release it on Steam, but we are not just focused on Steam. Our main focus is Steam right now, but we are open to port it, to make porting in case needed to some other platforms. Also, we are using Unreal Engine 4 as a technology. This game is thought for 3 hours of duration, just because it's composed of 20 mini games. The good part of this game is that we can make it flexible, meaning that we can put more mini games if needed, or we can remove, mainly depending on the budget that we can have. Also, on the stage that we are now, it's on the prototype, and the release plan, it's for January 2024. The storyline, it's what we were just talking about. We are trying to bring the player those good moments of the childhood while they are playing the mini games. Just an easy game to play. We are not planning to make it difficult or like that you need to think a lot when you're playing it. The idea is to help Nela to go through the childhood, and she was very creative when she was a kid. So when you try to bring this imagination, she realizes that she doesn't like her job that she's doing right now. She's feeling boring, and maybe that's a path that she doesn't want to follow, but this is something we will discover. The main features is that the mini games are filled with exploration, so and there are also achievements, but it's no linear, meaning that you can play one mini game, you don't like it, you pass to another one, and you don't need to finish one to pass to another one, which is, I think, something also engaging from that side, because if you don't like something, you can, or if you like something, you will always have something new to discover on the other mini game. The tags that we placed, basically this is summary what we've been just talking through: emotional, fantasy, casual indie, narrative, exploration, and this is just the tags to focus our game. And the mechanics are very different in each of the mini games. So this is engaging. This is the engaging part, because if someone is playing, they will know that the next game that they will play will be different from what they played before. So this is something we think that can be people can like. Also, before passing to marketing competition and references competition, I would like you to pay attention to something that we've been pointing in the presentation, is that the art concept are focused on those small images that we placed. This is our art concept that we imagined. You'll find it also in the rest of the presentation, so no worries if you didn't pay attention. And the main competitors that we could find, we wouldn't like to basically call it competitors, because those games are already released, so we took them more as a reference, and we could see some similarities between mostly those two, Alba, a Wildlife Adventure, and Call of the Sea, because in terms of stylish, in terms of single player, first person, third person, music, also characters, the way that they are done, those games are similar to our games. So we found that their price is quite affordable, $16, $19. Oh, okay. No way. Perdona, ¿se va a apagar la televisión? Gracias. Yeah, and they did quite good on revenue. So this is an indicator that those games, people like them. Also, another indicator that we find is in the market size. We took game stats for finding the market stats. With the tags casual indie narration adventure, we found that there are around 500 games. Between those 500 games, we can find that more than half of them were released in the past 2 years. So it means that this is a niche market, but this niche market is growing, and there is audience there, and also there is potential market there. Target audience for us, men and women, it doesn't matter. The limit that we find on the age is 26 because you need to leave behind your childhood part of your life. You need to be a real adult to fully understand and fully be able to appreciate this game, because if you are 18 years old, probably you wouldn't like to play those games. On the 40 years old, well, on the top, there is no limit, but yeah, more or less between 26, 40, 45, I think it's okay. Live in the US, Western Europe, medium level of income, of course, and lover of indie games. And yeah, the target price that we set up, it was between 14 and 24, just considering our audience that we placed before. They were around those prices. And yeah, budget and investment. We were considering 90K for this, for the development, and 30K for marketing purposes. Also, this is not a fixed budget, meaning that if we have less, probably we will develop this idea still, but we will make it shorter or whatever. That's why our budget and the marketing budget also in each of the phase is placed on percentage. And last but not least, the team. I would like to mention that this is our first game together as a team. So we didn't as a team, we didn't release any game before. Each of us, we have expertise on our areas. And Pablo, for example, yes, he's the game designer and producer, and he released the game before. So if you have some questions, you can ask later. And that's it. Thank you very much. He's Pablo, I'm Julia, and here is our contact information in case you want to contact. We have some free spots to meet after this meeting, and that's it.
Excellent. Any questions? Of course. I mean, it's just
I have two at least, so let's start with the first one. Like your budget is very like small compared to all the presentations we've seen before.
Yes, this is
very
what we
reasonable.
realized.
I was curious, what are you currently, like what is your break-even point? What is your sales goal expectation?
We would like to, well, good sales expectations, it would be to triple the budget. I think it would be something realistic that we can expect. And also, currently we are pending on, we are pending on some helps from the government, so most probably we will cover some part of the budget that we expect. So in the end, if we make more, of course, we will invest it in the game, and the idea, is to triple the investment.
So if you were to get more money, would it mean more content? Like you said, invest in the game, like you're looking then to expand more mini games?
Yes. We can, instead of 3 hours, we can make 4 hours, or I don't know, what other ideas can we have? I think that's it, mainly mini games. Because I was mentioning to make better graphics before, but he mentioned that we cannot do that, so.
Too expensive.
No, but the potential of the game, obviously, is that the content resides on the minigames, so we can adapt very easily of more or less minigames. So it's prepared to scale if needed.
Talking about those mini games, like you mentioned in the presentation, that as a player you don't have to necessarily finish them, but what's then the purpose of them? What's the driving factor for a player to finish them, to see all of them, what are they getting out of it?
Well, basically, in a narrative adventure, when you interact with an object, it triggers a narrative that doesn't really provide anything to the player, but add to the story. In the minigames, it resides that it encourages you to discover a new mechanics. It's a part of the exploration, but also, like she said, Nella plays as a child and an adult. When she's an adult, she doesn't have the imagination. When she interacts with objects, she can't do anything with them. But along you play with the minigames and you gain experience with set points, as an adult, can have more interaction with the world as a child. So the minigames can be played as an adult. The more you play them, with more fidelity. When you are a child, you see the world in a different way. And the more you play the games, the more you can see again that world as an adult.
Yeah, you should put that in the presentation. That's interesting. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, that's time. No. Yes.
10
we have 2 more presentations to go through. Do a meeting. That's why we're here.
Are the mini games replayable in any way, or do you just play them once and they're over?
Both.
Okay, thank you.
That's it. It was fast.
We're all fast.
It's all good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, y'all.
Thank you.
All right, and then one is your house. Hello. Hey.
Hello. Good morning, everyone. My name is Daniel Calabuch, and I'm here to present you your house, which is the game we're now in pre-production. Our studio is called Patrones y Escondites, which by I don't know which cause it seems is the only one which has a Spanish name. Okay, I don't know. Everyone goes for English names, but we try to keep it more Spanish. Okay, imagine yourself. One day is your birthday, and you receive a letter with a key and an address on it. Imagine if that key opens a house, and that house is for you. That's your present. You go, you take your things, you go to that house, and you start living there. And after 1 year living there, in such a beautiful house, someone rings on the door, and then when you open it, there's no one but a small package, an envelope that encloses a book. And when you open that book, you discover that that book is about the house you're living in. And mysteriously, you find one page that takes you to the bathroom of that house you're living, and by just tweaking a pair of things in the wall of that bathroom, suddenly a door opens. And you discover a secret room. Not only that, you keep reading the book, and as you read the book, you discover that that house is full of secrets. More secret rooms, more secret places, hidden compartments. That house houses a secret.
Should I try to hide the way I feel inside? My heart for you. Would you say that you would try to love me too? In your mind, could you ever be really close to me? I can tell the way you smile. If I feel that I could be certain, then I would say the things I want to say tonight. But till I can see that you'd really care for me, I'll keep trying to hide the way I feel inside.
Well, this is your house. Your house is a game you can read or a book you can play. It's both. It's a text-driven mystery that mixes puzzles and reading. In order to move forward, you have to solve the puzzles, okay? You've seen how you move around this house just by reading. You move from room to room, okay? And it's a story about the high price women must pay to pursue their dreams, okay? Your house is a tale of a house that is not a house, but a puzzle that houses a life-changing secret. It is the story of two women. Teenager coming of age, okay? She's lost, okay? She's the one who receives this present, the house. And while she keeps discovering and unveiling those secret rooms and secret places in the house, she unveils the story of three different characters that at the very end, it turns out to be the same, okay? And when she finds this, it is, she kind of understands, or it is an ending that will give meaning to her life. Well, this game, we're planning to have it, to release it on different platforms, PC and Mac, but also iOS and Android, okay? Maybe Nintendo Switch, okay? But as you've seen, it is about reading, so we foresee that it might be difficult to play it on console. We think people maybe not be interested in experiencing a game by reading on a console. The playtime is around 6 hours. Languages is, we plan to localize the game in these languages. The target we're following is plus 12. The engine uses Unity. We are aiming to release this on Q4 next year. And the current state is in pre-production. We're already doing this. The main features is this storytelling format. We know, because now I will show you, Your House is the prequel to Unmemory, our previous game. And we know that when people have played this game, well, you have to read and you have to build this environment in your head. And we also give you control over the story. What you feel is immersion, okay? It's like we wanted to push forward the reading experience, okay? And we've been doing it like this. 1 minute. Text obviously is the gameplay, okay? And also the high-end aesthetics. And as I said, this is the follow-up of Memory. And it is based on a true story. The story I told you about the house, that is true. On 2008, Eric Clough, which is an architect, was a broker, a Wall Street broker, asked him to build a house like this. And 2 years later, he and his family, they found out all these secrets around the house, okay? So we've taken this, based on this true story, what we've done is this game. And as I told you, this is the prequel to Unmemory. Okay, and Memory is a trilogy, and we already released this on 2020. And by popular demand, we're now launching the prequel, which is Your House.
We're looking for a budget of around 100K, okay? That's the team. Now we're already, as I told you, we're already pre-producing it, but we need more funds to get more people on board and finish it. And well, this is just mood board of what is it about. And that's all. Thank you for your attention.
Awesome. Nice. Questions?
Well, I had a quick look on the other games you mentioned, and it looks pretty similar. So can you tell us a bit more about the sales of that previous game? So.
The sales? Yes. Well, actually, that's something that I don't handle myself. It is my partner. But I guess we had enough sales to continue making games. I cannot give you like a figure, sorry. It's that I'm more on the creative side. But she's around, so we can talk later and she will tell you. It's not something that I want to keep a secret.
Sure.
It's just that I don't know.
Who will write a story? Who's writing the...
I am myself writing the story.
Mm-hmm. And you write the previous one?
I did write the previous one too.
It's good, by the way, that you don't answer what you don't know. So it's good. We can talk about that later. I've known on memory, and I've always thought it looked very interesting. I really like the visuals.
I remember presenting you too.
So I was wondering, actually, what are the lessons learned from On Memory that you're taking to this project?
Well, On Memory was kind of like, it was our first game, and now I know that whenever you do your first game, you try to put everything that you have, all your ideas, you try to put them. All the mechanics that you think of, you put them in, okay? So it turned out to be a good game, but quite ambitious in terms of the learning curve, okay? So what we did here on your house was to take one single mechanic, which was shown in chapter 7 on Memory, and around that only mechanic, we built the whole game. That's the main lesson I think we've learned, which is, okay, obviously we wanted to put everything, all your references, okay, and then we want to put this because we like this music, because we like this artist, and all the ideas. So what we did is kind of like go simpler.
Very good lesson learned. And one tip as a Dutch person, don't localize in Dutch. It's not worth it. Dutch people notoriously, well, they, maybe I speak ahead of Mike. I know there's more Dutch people around, but we're very good at English. And personally, I hate Dutch.
I know, but you have to know also that when we presented this game at another place which is called Spielfabrik, which is a market co-production. Yeah. Thierry's over there. We've seen him, and at that time we partnered with a Dutch studio. Okay.
Got it. Makes sense.
And obviously, if we wanted to make this co-production, it had to be with Dutch.
Okay, yeah, I was just thinking from a publishing perspective, like I would not invest in.
But that gives me that gives me also. I could say that localizing and memory is not that hard. Okay, because at the end it's just translating a book.
It's a lot of words though, and that costs a lot of money.
It's a matter of words.
I'm sitting next to the guy who localized Monster Prom, and it's like 500,000 words. Yeah. That's very costly.
But much more than we do.
Okay, no, just saying.
For example, in memory, it's around 20,000.
Okay, that's more reasonable. Yeah, no, that's good to know. That's good to know. Thanks.
All right, we got to roll to our last one. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Our final game of the session is Fragments of Child.
Hello, everyone. I'm Fran from Click Games. I'm the CEO and the game designer. And today I'm here to present you Fragments of Tile. Fragments of Tile is a 3D hack-and-slash adventure with elements of platforming and puzzles, where the narrative is built around the ideas of friendship and overcoming loss, where you play as a child who wakes up in an abandoned factory with a TV instead of a head. The game is being developed in Unreal Engine 4, and the main story will take up to 10 hours to be completed. Our intention is to release it on February 2024 on Steam at a price of 25.99 euros, focusing on players from 20 to 35 years old from the USA, Europe, and Asia. And as a wish list, we will also like to launch it on consoles. So, what is Fragments of Tile? Well, to answer that question, I'm going to focus on its three main points. On the first hand, we have the core of the game, where the challenges are presented as a mix of fights, where we'll combine hack and slash and range distance combat, platforming sections, and occasional puzzles. To the addition of having several weapons in the form of TBs, the players will have special modes and final attacks to defeat not only the enemies in the game, but also the final bosses. These TVs will also be used to overcome platforming areas and environmental puzzles, so that together with the fact that each scenario will have its own gameplay mechanics, we will obtain a great variety of situations. On the other hand, the narrative will have a great weight in the game. Through the adventure, we will live a story that, again, deals with elements like friendship and overcoming loss, but always from a positive perspective. The scenes will be full of NPCs that will give more depth to the story in the form of side quests and subplots. And finally, we have the personalized experience, a system that will allow players to adapt every single element in the game, which is combats, platforms, and puzzles, to let them have the challenge they want and what don't want to be challenged. So, for example, this system will modify the amount of enemies and their aggressiveness, the number of obstacles that will appear from going from one point to another, and even the visual clues that will appear in puzzles, or even the possibility to skip them. So if there's still any doubt about what Fragments of Tile is, here you have the games that serve us as an inspiration and reference. We studied the hack and slash combat system from Kingdom Hearts 3 and Nier Automata, the range combat system, variety of weapons, and platforming and puzzle sections from Ratchet & Clank, and how Final Fantasy VII Remake uses the cinematics, the dialogue systems, and the final bosses to create an epic story and narrative. So now that you know what Fragments of Tile is, let's talk about some market estimates that we've made after several studies. So we, as a market reference, we use games like Kena or Pumpkin Jack to define that, as I said before, by setting a price of 25.99 euros, we are confident to sell up to 200,000 copies during the first year on Steam, reporting a bit more than 2 million net of profits. So to achieve all of this, organization is key. We have a detailed production plan, but for the purpose of this meeting, we have a summarized version as a roadmap. As you can see, we are close to the middle, where we will have our final version of the vertical slice. From here on, we have several milestones that will lead us to the launch on February 2024. So another element we are looking for is for a publisher and or investor that helps us with the development. We are mainly looking for funding, marketing, Q&A, English dubbing, and localization for several languages. And here you can see in this breakdown all the items in which we would like to spend the amount requested. And as you can see, most of it will be for support staff costs during the development. So for those who don't know, Fragments of Tile has its first prototype in Dreams, where it got very positive reviews and was selected as a feature game by Media Molecule. In the last year, we won the Best Adventure Game Award at the Indie Day in Barcelona, and the second place as the best game of Gamergy in Madrid. This year, besides the opportunity of being here, we were finalists at the Indie Games Malaga. And finally, all these beautiful people you see here are the Greek Games team that is developing the game. Right now, we are just over 20 people, and we truly believe that we have a team which is capable of achieving a fun, interesting, and successful project. So that's all. Thank you so much for your attention, and if you have any questions, do not hesitate to ask me.
I could talk loud otherwise. Thanks for the presentation. I was just one very quick question. You mentioned in the beginning that it was developed in Unreal Engine 4. I can imagine a game like this could benefit a lot from Unreal Engine 5. Like, is that something that you're considering, or?
Yeah, we studied to move to Unreal Engine 5, but it will cost us several months to have the game properly done. So we prefer for this project to do it in Unreal Engine 4 and maybe in the future move to Unreal Engine 5 in new projects.
Okay, interesting. You also mentioned, like, on the timeline, like you had a vertical slice in February already, an update in June, if I remember correctly. So I guess you've been already looking for a partner since early of this year.
Yeah.
I'm mostly curious, like, what has the feedback been that you've been trying to address, like, during those vertical slice stages?
Yeah, you mean about the vertical slice? With,
Yeah, well, what, like, you had a vertical slice in February, you did an update in June, you're working on a new one for February next year. Like, what has the main feedback been that you need to address?
The game is evolved since we first start, because at the beginning it was more a platform than a combat game, and now we changed that to include this hack and slash system and move the platforming way in a secondary part. And puzzles even, we will let players to skip them, because we are more than conscious that there are a lot of people that don't like puzzles. So if you don't want to do a puzzle, just skip it and keep playing. We don't mind. So yeah. Okay.
Anyone else? No. I'll keep it.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you to everyone, and have a nice event.
All right. So yes. So don't forget, everybody is in the meeting system. Catch up with them, you know, at the social that we're going to have now, or later today, tomorrow, and let's just give one big round of applause to everybody, because those of us who do this know pitching is not the easiest thing in the world in front of a room full of people.